Hello everyone and welcome back to Affinity for Commander, where today we're answering one of the big questions. Why do people fear the tentacle? Now the Eldrazi have been around since Worldwake that was released back in 2010. They were a problem then as well, and not just for Zendikar. But outside of Tron lists and various ways of cheating Emrakul out, the beefy boys of the Eldrazi Titans rarely saw any true action, but were more the big end threat to ensure victory in these games. They're huge, can be indestructible, have back-breaking cast triggers, and annihilator on top of all of this. Emrakul being a particular bad case of this, especially with their cast trigger allowing them to swing again on your additional turn after they've lost that summoning sickness. Probably one of the many reasons why they've got banned from Commander. But as time has gone on, we've gotten more and more iterations of the big three, as well as more and more of their various broods coming along as well. Some with good ramping effects like Oblivion Sower, and some with just straight hair tearing out in frustration effects like Void Winnower. Now ask any member of your local LGS and they'll tell you they hate Eldrazi decks, especially with how good they've been eating lately on the legendary front. First Zuludok, and now with Modern Horizons 3 coming out, also Ulalek and Azlask to boot. And let's just be clear about something, these legends aren't just okay, or they'll just happen to do for that particular creature type or deck. No. This is not an Ayula situation we're talking about here. These legends are powerful and game warping and demand a counterspell or removal immediately. So let's try and be systematic in our approach when we try and answer the question, what is the problem with Eldrazi? The first reason usually given is the Eldrazi's unique keyword, Annihilator. Appearing on only 19 cards in all of Magic the Gathering, you'd think this boogeyman of a keyword would be more prevalent, but the effect it has is still game warping. On attack, the defending player must sacrifice permanents equal to the Annihilator amount printed on the card. This single ability gets around hexproof, indestructible, shroud, and protection. And should a person have no non-land permanents, then they are forced to sacrifice their lands as well. This is an attack trigger as well, so the opponent is already on the back foot before blockers are even declared, making their blocking options worse by potentially removing the creatures they were going to use to block. And even then, most Eldrazi have the power and the toughness to not only withstand the blocks, but also survive and destroy all blocking creatures. This single ability is at a 9 on the Storm scale that is used by head designer Mark Rosewater to dictate the likelihood of a mechanic being printed due to its power, which firstly, that's a very weak 9, Mr. Rosewater. And secondly, does attest to the power this single ability holds, as well as why a lot of people find it so miserable to play against. The other reasons may pale in comparison to the devastation Annihilator brings, but are still important in bringing into the Eldrazi's profile. For instance, most of their abilities are on cast, not on ETB. This importantly means that even if that Ulamog is countered, their ability to exile 2 permanents, which is usually the 2 lands that person needs to still have blue and stay in the game, yes Martin, I am still angry about that. That ability will still go off and those 2 permanents are still exiled, essentially meaning that the person who countered the Eldrazi has now lost 3 cards, whereas the Eldrazi player has only lost 1, a game of attrition that the non-Eldrazi player has no hope of winning. This is also why cards like Summary Dismissal were a mainstay in blue sideboards during the time of Innistrad Standard when Emrakul was lurking around like a bad smell in a locked car. Now these problems would be mitigated if they were only used in niche decks or required a variety of hoops to jump through to be able to cast them. Don't worry, I am aware they are a large amount of mana to cast them, we'll be getting to that. But each Titan and the major big hitters like It That Betrays or Void Winnower can be played for any colour of mana and have no core identity, thus can be played in any commander deck. Need a win con for a landfall or ramp decks? Play a massive tentacle monster. Want Selvala to ramp harder than ever before? Play a massive tentacle monster. Need more targets for your sneak attack nonsense? Then maybe play fair cards with balanced effects. Nah, I'm just kidding, play the tentacle monsters. And it is this ubiquity and ease of just slotting them in anywhere that's given this monster under the bed style effect, almost an Eldrazi phobia, if you will. Which, due to this effect, has now led to the Eldrazi essentially taking the place of the groan-inducing bad guy of EDH. This title used to go to Slivers with their powerful commander's tutor ability and hefty amounts of support, but these slithering combo pieces have receded in recent years due to largely a lack of spotlight and just bigger things to fear coming along. After reading around this and looking at a lot of gameplay, I though have come to understand the sort of meta gameplay reason why this is. Eldrazi, especially the big boys, are the greatest lane game throw outside of just straight combo. They are powerful beatsticks with broken effects that we've already covered. At this stage in the game when we can cast them, we can assume several things have already happened. Commanders have already been played and removed. Counter spells have been spent on more immediate threats, and the board's gone through at least one good wiping. Now we've arrived at a time when most resources have been spent, and the Eldrazi player gets to play out their 5 or 6 mana commander freely, and start casting game-ending threats, and not be interacted with because all the interaction was blown on the guy trying to win on turn 5. Hence why, in a way, their massive mana costs we've talked about earlier can actually kind of be one of their advantages, only being able to cast them later in the game after all the shots have already been fired. Now look, I'm not saying that people are wrong for doing this, or I need to finger wag at people go, "Oh, you silly people, not giving interaction for a late game deck, how silly of you." No, I'm not here to do that. I'm just pointing out why Eldrazi will be interacted with less than, let's say, an Elves deck that is exploding immediately. And all this lack of interaction, powerful unique mechanics and keywords, as well as a seemingly recent endless stream of support, have made the Eldrazi not just a force to be reckoned with, but a set of creature decks that never fail to get a groan of anguish and disgust from the table they're being played at. The best advice I can give is try and save one path or swords just for their commander, Zuladork or Ulalek, these powerful creatures that are what let those Eldrazi decks really get a leg up in the game by providing them with additional and free, or okay, 2 mana advantage. Plus you can just target them earlier, destroy their artifact ramp so they can't just freely play out those big spells so easily. And don't worry, it's completely morally acceptable to destroy that Eldrazi temple or that Eye of Ugin. Trust me, they deserve it. Okay, we deserve it. And with that, I want to leave you to ponder, are there any other reasons that you are deathly afraid of Eldrazi, or just find them really, really annoying? Whatever your thoughts, leave them in the comments below. As always, this video and all Affinity for Commander content is made possible thanks to the support of our amazing patrons. You guys are truly awesome. If you too like to become a patron of the channel yourself and get access to our exclusive Discord server and games with Martin and I, then be sure to check out our link in the description box below. As always, you can support the channel in a few of the quick and easy ways, liking this video, subscribing, and sharing it on your preferred social media platform. But for now guys, that'll be it from me. As always, I've been Alex, and I'll see you next time.